How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. And thank you for jamming out with me to the Church of Eight Wheels. That's my intro song. This is, of course, part of the Quick Market Update series on my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading. You may not know that I have a brand new playlist, the Trading Encyclopedia, 3-minute videos every day. I'm trying to basically take complicated technical analysis concepts and I'm trying to teach them to you. Classical charting, Japanese candlestick theory. It's very popular. People are enjoying it. So check that out. I'm on, of course, Twitter at Big Cheds and Bitcoin Live, where I am a founding analyst. So folks, you know, just real quick, you know that my favorite exchange is BingX. For my friends here in the US, I've now partnered with edgeX, where you can trade perps. There's a link in this video description, and you can find it on my Twitter page. So this is something new as well. I do still work with BingX, of course. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. If you're watching live, it's great to have you. If you're watching replay, you know, down the road, you know, thanks for coming too. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. You can jump right in the chat room and say hi. And so, of course, we'll do Bitcoin, we'll do Ethereum, we'll do Solana, we'll do some other altcoins perhaps. We'll kind of go from there. But I wanted to, you know, I wanted to jump in and do this live stream. I do these maybe Tuesday and Friday around this time. I sometimes skip these, depending on what's going on. But thanks for being here, folks. So what do we think about Bitcoin? I have the 2021 top open. I was just looking at it and trying to think if there's any parallels to what's going on right now. And I've been really active over the last day or two with a bunch of tweets, and I wanted to walk you folks through that. But before I get to that, let me set it up, and let's set it up here. Okay, we're talking about outside bars. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so let me just back up. All right, so we'll get there. Fractal for fun. Okay, so setting the table for Bitcoin, right? Before, you know, we'll get back to where we are today, which is up around 115, 120K. Now, the weekly candle hasn't closed, and it's going to be important to put that into context to see what it does. As it is right now, it's still a pretty nice looking trend. It's still price above a rising EMA 8. You still have the price well above the prior structure. I mean, you don't really see that much damage on the high time frame on the weekly. I mean, sure, you see this pair of upper shadowed candles, these, you know, even, you know, pin bars if you want to call them that. But it's still just pretty nice consolidation near the peak of the move. So there's nothing we're seeing on the weekly chart that's, you know, concerning. It's what's happening on the daily chart, which is kind of catching my attention. And here it is. So let's clean it up. What we just had was an outside bar with an up thrust. Okay, it's exactly what we had in 2021. Here's the up thrust. The idea is that the price rallied. It broke the July 14th high. It made a new all-time high, came back below. So that's an up thrust, right? So what's an up thrust? I have a video on that, of course. It's when you come and you break a resistance level and you come back and you fail to hold. So that's the up thrust. We also have the outside bar, this big red candle, the outside bar. Again, I have a video on this concept, is where the next candle completely eclipses the range of the inside bar. It doesn't have to be candle body. It's about the wicks, right? You can zoom in a little bit and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we can see it. Let's get this here. So here's the peak of this range, and here is the low of this candle, right? And the next candle is eclipsing that. So we have the outside bar with the up thrust. And so what does it mean? Is it top? I mean, it's way too early to call it top, okay, first of all. But it's concerning. It's definitely concerning price action. And it's notable that that's exactly what we had, or you know, something quite similar back in 2021. We'll zoom again. We'll go all the way back to that. And we had the dual highs, as you remember, with the April and November high here. And so we had, and this actually was an up thrust in and of itself. Here's the April high, and this was an up thrust to the April high. But locally, meaning in this kind of nearby candle series, we also had, here it is. Here's the up thrust, right? And the outside bar. Okay, so here's a visual, a little bit easier to digest. Okay, so this is what I tweeted out yesterday. Today's the 15th. Bitcoin 2021 top was an outside bar with an up thrust for what it's worth. And here we go. That's going to be the top in 2021. And then here's what we have going on right now. Okay, So, I mean, it's a little bit scary, but you still can't call top is the thing. There's no reason to call top until there's something till we get more information. But I think as a minimum, you should be cautious because there has been absolutely a momentum reversal. Okay. And I'll follow you through and I'll explain another call I made, right after that. So there definitely has been a momentum reversal here. When you have a failed breakout like this with the outside bar, on the all-time high, that just kind of looks like it's going to push back and test support, right? It's going to push back and test support, push back and test support. That's kind of the gist from a momentum standpoint. But just even doing this or even testing here doesn't mean like top. You have to have a much more severe breakdown, right? On the weekly time frame, we'd have to start to lose the MA50, right? The price has held the MA50 all the way up. So the sad truth or the real truth or the hard truth is that you can't really spot a top until after the fact, right? You need more information. When a top happens, some damage has already been done. So it's very rare to be able to call it, while it's happening because it's an uptrend. We want to see dips, right? That's the whole point. But, you take into consideration Ethereum, getting ready to break out, some of these other Dino coins doing pretty well, the market froth. This type of action in Bitcoin is a little bit concerning and at least suggests we're going to be dropping back and testing support. So I noticed the outside bar. All right, let's walk through the progression of tweets here. And I'll get to the chat room in a second, see how everybody's doing. So Capo's chilling. He's a good dude. He's all right. We've talked. So okay, so we started to get a bounce off the MA200, right? The bullish pin bar. And that would make sense intuitively. You're going to at least have some initial bounce. When you have this type of an upper to lower Bollinger Band move, we're dropping to a 4-hour, right? Because it's volatility and price near a key level. And this big move, you'd at least expect a little relief. So that started. We had the bullish pin bar, but I was still skeptical that that's like that was it. That was the bottom. I was actually on watch for the Hikake or the some type of a, which is a momentum fake out, right? So let's get to that. Big names coming for the interview series. By the way, I forgot to mention, I just released an interview this week with Jason Pizzino in the long form interview series. I spoke with Checkmatey. I've got a bunch of new names coming, so make sure you folks check out the long form interview series. So let's see. Ethereum, big volume. Let's look at Ethereum in a second. I want to talk about that 4-hour. Here we go. So we get the pin bar, all right? And the pin bar ended up closing red. So it was still a pin bar, but it wasn't quite as strong. And we started to form what looked to be an inside bar, okay? And I was on watch for Hikake. It's basically, when you see that, I'm saying I'm on watch for a fake bull break here, right? I'm on watch for the price. We're on daily, right? So as this is happening, I'm on watch, even though Hikake really is this, the move down. I mean, I literally just released a video on it today for the Trading Encyclopedia because I wanted people to get a sense of what I'm talking about. I know a lot of this stuff seems, complicated academic, but you have the move down. We started to form the relief bar, and then you get like an inside bar, which is price compression. And it's a very common technique, to take like, a trade off of an inside bar break. So you get the inside bar, and you can take a break off of, like a long off of the mother bar break there. So you didn't exactly get the inside bar. It was very close to that, but I was on watch for that. I was on watch for an inside bar, fake break, and roll over. And it's exactly what happened. It's literally exactly what happened. And why was I on watch for that? Because we just had a massive daily breakdown. We just had a massive momentum blow, given the context where the price was, given this. And it's an outside bar closing near the low of the range, which is another clue, for outside bars. And of course, I was live tweeting all this stuff for you folks. Here's something from Trading Wisdom, about outside bars. You can pause and read this. I've tweeted this out many times, actually. And I also have, of course, I have an educational video on the outside bar. So we had the big daily outside bar. I was on watch for Hikake. We essentially had it. And for me, it looks like it's going to go lower in the short term. What key levels to watch? Well, it's still the key levels that we've been watching. We want to keep our eye on 116K, right? Price temporarily lost and recaptured 116K. That's still incredibly important. If that fails, we're watching 112K with the swing low and the prior all-time high. So, we're on watch to see what looks to be a likely test of these levels. And you kind of go from there. And each of these are actually by the dip levels because it is an uptrend. So again, is it the top? It's way too soon, even though it looks, eerily similar to the 2021 top. I mean, this just can't be comfortable. Here's again 2021 top, eerily similar to the setup. I think you have to be disciplined, and the weekly trend is still quite strong. And I still think you have to. It's very clearly an uptrend. So you want to look to buy dips at defined levels. So in my view, we've got the momentum loss and pushback. It's probably going to test 116K. If that fails, just shift and watch 112K, and still just take it level to level and still be disciplined. I think that's just what you need to do. It might be a short stream because I'm a little bit tired, but I really wanted to just talk to you folks a little bit. Talked about Ethereum, largest daily volume. There it is. So we have the largest daily volume in quite a while. Let's put this into context. We have the daily volume, also outside bar. So this is looking at outside down. It's called 3 outside down. I'm trying to think if I've already recorded that video for the Trading Encyclopedia. I might have. I'm not sure. But it's definitely coming, okay? You've got like an outside bar, so you can look at that, but there's an actual pattern in Japanese candlestick theory called 3 outside down. Now, the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is here on the daily chart. The price is still above the rising EMA 8, right? AKA primary uptrend support. I just saw a funny question. What's the impact of Trump and Putin meeting in the gold chart? I don't know. I don't know nothing about that, my friend. That's not my... That's not what I look at. I don't, and if what the impact is whatever the price does. Don't try to anticipate. Like news events, they may or may not move the price. Just focus on the price. You're overcomplicating your system there, Mr. Hussein. Just focus on the price, brother. Let the price digest the news for you. Don't try to, In any case, you see Ethereum still riding over the rising EMA 8, and here Bitcoin's below it. So does make sense because Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin. We see that with the Ethereum versus Bitcoin pair. So, Ethereum looks better, right? So Ethereum it looks better. It's still above the rise in the EMA 8. And concerning, but not as much as Bitcoin. This more looks like just test the local support here at 42.50. And that's kind of just been what I've been thinking is, keep an eye when it gets just a little bit lower and see how the price responds, okay? Let's sift through the chat room. I'll see what everybody's doing. Thank you folks for being here today. I just want to say hi to everybody. We'll just do a quick stream today. But the market's doing a lot of stuff, so I wanted to just say hello. Dan, Mr. Klaus Hauser, how you doing? Matej, John, Duncan, Luis, nice to see you folks. Let's see here. Nice to see everybody else. Thank you for all your help over the years. You're quite welcome, Tom. I keep getting more and more curious what you look like. I think you should dox yourself. I'm pretty ugly, brother. Let's see. If top with all the treasury stocks keep popping up, hindsight will be obvious. Here's the problem. Like I said before, you can't really call a top until more damage has been done, right? We remember the toppings in 2021. It wasn't really confirmed until we had that the loss of the weekly MA50. Which is when the trend started to weaken. That's a little bit further back than I was trying to look. Here we go. And it wasn't really until we confirmed, see how we're holding the MA50 here? We started to lose it, okay? And then it was, I don't know if you folks remember, but I put out that tweet where I said, the move from 12K to 100K will be amazing. And that was right here when we were at 45. And people were like, you're crazy, Cheds. But that was top for me when we did essentially the upthrust here, the fake breakout. Let me just clean it up because that looked a little bit overdrawn. So we had started to lose the MA50, and then we had the fake breakout, and that's a big momentum blow. And that's when I basically said we're going down to 12K, right? When we were here at 45. We went to 15, so I got pretty close. So, but that was well after the, Pico top, as the young kids like to call it, the nut top, the absolute top. So the tops are only confirmed really after some damage has been done. But it's still interesting. It's worth noting that the outside bar with upthrust that we have here is exactly what we had in 2021. Upthrust at all-time high with the rest of the market doing similar things, like Ethereum and some of these other altcoins. So I do think it should make you more cautious, certainly more cautious. And this kind of local, this nearby momentum, it just looks like we're going to push into 116K and then maybe even test 112K. So just be watching for that and don't fear it. I think it's still an uptrend, and a lot more damage has to be done before, it's the top, right? Now, a lot of people have convinced themselves that we're going to 130K, 140K, just because of some measured move. But I've been saying for, a long time that, price targets are fine, they're fun. They give you some general view, but you don't want to be convinced of it because, especially we're talking about blue sky breakout, there's no price structure. If you're convinced that it's going to 140K, you're going to ignore, 135, 140K, you're going to ignore major warning signs. And so don't do that. Don't ignore major warning signs. This is a major warning sign. So it's just another illustration of why price targets are pretty much useless. It's people want to know where it's definitely going. You never know. There's no way to know where it's definitely going. You have to follow along with the trend, okay? Let's see. Peter, thanks. Appreciate your comments. What's up, Raivo Anisimus? How you doing? Waylon? How are we doing? So Dan said, can the Hikake be invalidated? Absolutely. I mean, any pattern can be invalidated. If the price, let's go back to the 4-hour structure to take a look at that. So we see the follow through in the Hikake. I mean, the Hikake is kind of played out in the sense that it at least rolled back and retested the low of the pin bar here. If you retake these highs, sure. And you retake 120K, sure. Absolutely. You still have clear levels of momentum that can be recaptured here in the 4-hour, pretty reasonably well illustrated 120K. I mean, you recapture 120K and it starts to invalidate even the outside bar, right? The Hikake is not as important as this outside bar is concerning. The outside bar with the upthrust. So again, I would just watch 120K, can bulls recapture, 116K where it looks like we're probably headed to. This time there's no euphoria. Yeah, that's a good point. But we also have like all these treasury companies buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum, buying Solana even. It's a different landscape and tops aren't going to look the same, right? History rhymes, it doesn't repeat, So much West Michigan love. Thank you, Indy. Appreciate that, brother. I'm probably not going to do too many other altcoins because I'm kind of tired, but I wanted to just talk about Bitcoin. Somebody asked me about bearish divergence. Let's see here. So that's daily. So all right. So Bitcoin OBV bearish divergence, right? All right, but it can resolve pretty quickly. So we have the idea again, the OBV, the momentum oscillator. The index indicator. Measuring buy and sell volume. It should confirm the trend, and we had the new high. Unsupported, but really you'd only need a drop to like 113, 114K to resolve the OBV divergence. And what would that mean to resolve it? It would mean that the OBV is matching what the price is doing again. So, don't get too spooked by just a single divergence, knowing that it can just resolve itself with a retest of support, like a simple, clean 112K retest, and then go. That would also be quite logical. So these are all scenarios that we're on watch for. And are very much in the cards. It's just one of 3 or 4 different likely scenarios in my view. Okay, and let's check with everybody else. All right. Hey, thanks, Ryan. Good. How you doing, Ryan? Indy and Mauricio. Okay. All right, folks. So that's about it. I know this is a little bit of a short stream, and I do apologize for that. But I did want to give you my quick thoughts on Bitcoin. I'm putting out a ton of content. You got to check out my YouTube. I've got the Trading Encyclopedia, of course. Hopefully you're enjoying that. New videos every day. I'm doing long-form interviews. I'm getting really smart, interesting people, and we're just kind of talking about the market. These live streams twice a week. I'm going to skip Tuesday because I'm going to be out of town, but I'll be back on YouTube Friday. Of course, Bitcoin Live twice a week. I never skip these. I haven't skipped one of these in like 6 or 7 years. You know, I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds. Just to mention for my US friends, I do have a new partnership with edgeX. I still work with BingX, of course, but for US, I got the new option for edgeX, somewhere to trade. You check the link here and in the video description. And yeah, that's about it. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the last couple days, and I've been putting out a lot of tweets. There's a pin bar, there's an outside bar, there's a hikake, and just comparing 2021 to 2021 top to now, I thought it was worth explaining this and going over it a little bit more. So I hope you folks are enjoying this. Leave me comments and feedback. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see, what other trading encyclopedia subjects you'd like to see me cover, and we'll go from there. But I'm gonna wrap it up here. I said I'm a little bit tired, but I wanted to do this stream, and I'm glad I did. So thank you folks so much. I really appreciate you. Let's jam it out here with the Church of 8 Wheels, and we will go from there. So where is that? Let's do it. Let's set it up there, and let's jam it out, folks. Thank you again so much. Thank you, everybody. Be well. Have a great weekend.